words, why in the world aren't you thinking that way all of the time? The 3G people have gone into certain situations where there were, probably primarily in personnel, but in other expenses as well, a lot of expenses that were not delivering a dollar of value per dollar expended. And so they made changes very fast that to a situation that probably shouldn't have existed in the first place. Whereas we hope that our managers take a Geico. Geico's gone from, I think, 8,000 to 39,000 people since we bought control, but they're all very productive. I mean, you would not find a way for a 3G operation to take thousands of people out of there. On the other hand, I can think of some organizations where you could take a whole lot of people out where it isn't being done because the businesses are very profitable to start with. That's what happened with the tobacco companies, actually. They were so profitable that they got all kinds of people around that weren't really needed, but the money just flowed in. So our managers have different techniques of keeping track of or of trying to maximize customer satisfaction at the same time that they don't incur other than necessary costs. And I think probably some of our managers may well use something that's either zero-based budgeting or something akin to it. They do not submit budgets, never have, to me. I mean, they've never been required to. We've never had a budget at Berkshire. We don't consolidate our figures monthly. I mean, I get individual reports on every company, but there's no reason to have some extra time spent, for example, by having a consolidated figures at the end of April or the consolidated figures at the end of May. We know where we stand, and I'm sure we're the only company that probably in the whole Fortune 500 that doesn't do it, but we don't do unnecessary things around Berkshire. And a lot of stuff that's done at big companies is unnecessary, and that's why a 3G finds opportunities from time to time. Charlie?
Well, if you've got 30 people at headquarters and half of those are internal auditors, that is not the normal way of running a big company in America. And what's interesting about it is, obviously we lose some advantages from big size, but we also lose certain disadvantages from having a big bureaucracy with endless meeting after meeting after meeting around headquarters. And net, I think we've been way ahead with our low overhead diversified method, and it also makes our company attracted to very able, honorable people who have companies. So generally speaking, the existing system has worked wonderfully for us. I don't think we have the employment that could be cut effectively that a lot of other places have. And I think our methods have worked so well that we'd be very unlikely to change them.
Yeah, I think at headquarters you could say we have kind of sub-zero based budgeting, and we hope that the example at headquarters is to a great extent emulated by our
It isn't just the cost reduction. I think the decisions get made better if you eliminate the bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah.
I think a bureaucracy is sort of like a cancer, and it functions sort of like a cancer. And so we're very anti-bureaucracy, and I think it's done us a lot of good. In that case, we're quite different from, say, Anheuser-Busch at its peak.
Okay, Gary.
My question is on small commercial, and specifically direct small commercial. You seem to have some websites that enable buyers to purchase small commercial insurance directly. Burke is one of them. It's a very competitive, fragmented market, but what is your strategy for that market? And then can you ultimately Geicoize the small commercial market?
Well, we'll find out. I mean, it's a very good question because that's exactly the question we ask ourselves. And we have this incredible company at Geico, which has gone direct in the personal auto field and is, first started at 1936. And there's no question in my mind that over a lot of years, and maybe not so many years, something like small commercial, anything that takes cost out of the system, makes it easier for the customer, is going to work over time if you've got a system that was based on something that had more layers of agency costs and that sort of thing. So we are experimenting, and we'll continue to experiment on something like small commercial, workers' comp, whatever it may be. We'll try and figure out ways to take cost out of the system, offer the customer an equivalent product or better at lesser price, and we'll find out what can be done and what can't be done. And we're not the only ones doing it, as you know. We are not going to. We've got some managers that are going to be quite, I'm sure, enterprising on that, and we back them. And we expect some to fail, and if a few succeed, we'll have some very good businesses, and the world is going in that direction. So you could expect us to try and go with it. Charlie?
Well, if it were easy, I think it would have happened more fast.
Yeah, but it will happen as we go along. I mean, it wasn't easy in auto. I mean, when you think about it.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, it was a system with all kinds of extra costs to go back to the turn of the 19th century into the 20th. I mean, it was built on fire insurance and strong general agencies, and that slopped over into auto when the auto came along in 1903 from Ford or whenever. And so it grew within a system that really wasn't very efficient compared to what was available, but it took State Farm initially to go to a direct or a captive agency system, and then it took USAA and then later Geico and then later Progressive to go to direct systems that are even more efficient and consumer friendly. And the same thing is going to happen to some degree in all kinds of industries, and certainly small commercial. Somebody will
It could
succeed.
happen, but it will be slow.
It takes an amazingly long time. I mean, but the battle doesn't always go to the strong and the race to the swift, but that's the way to bet, as they say. So, okay, station 8.
Austin Merriam from Jacksonville, Florida. Mr. Buffett, with the recent news of the partnership between you, Mr. Bezos, and Mr. Diamond to challenge the healthcare industry and the self-admitted difficulties you are running across, this would lead me to believe the industry has higher barriers to entry than may have originally been hypothesized, a larger moat, if you will. Would that justify a higher earnings multiple for established players in the industry, such as PBMs, for example?
Well, just though the system may have a moat against intruders, it doesn't mean that everybody operating within the system has individual moats, for one thing. Now, we are, if this new triumvirate succeeds at all, we are attacking an industry moat. And I'm defining industry very broadly, healthcare, not just healthcare insurers or this or that. We're trying to figure out a better way of doing it, and making sure that we're not sacrificing care, and the goal is to improve care. And like I say, it's a lot bigger than a single company's moat. It's bigger than a component of the industry's moat. the moat held by the whole system, since it interacts in so many ways, is actually, that's the moat that essentially has to be attacked, and that's a huge moat. And like I say, we'll do our best. But I hope if we fail, I hope somebody else succeeds. Charlie?
Well, I suspect that eventually, when the Democrats control both houses of Congress and the White House, we will get single-payer medicine. And I don't think it's going to be very friendly to many of the current PBMs. And I won't miss them.
Andrew?
This question comes from Keeley and actually is directly about the issue of moats. He notes that Elon Musk this week on his Tesla earnings call said the following, quote, "I think moats are lame. They are like nice in a sort of quaint vestigial way, and if your only defense against invading armies is a moat, you will not last long. What matters is the pace of innovation. That is the fundamental determinant of competitiveness," unquote. So Warren, it seems the world has changed. Business is getting more competitive, pace of innovation, technology is impacting everything. Is Elon right?
Let me answer that one, Warren. Elon says a conventional moat is quaint, and that's true of a puddle of water. And he says that the best moat would be to have a big competitive position, and that is also right. You know, it's ridiculous. Warren does not intend to build an actual moat. Even though they're quaint.
Yeah. There's certainly a great number of businesses. This has always been true, but it does seem like it. The pace has accelerated and so on in recent years. There's been more moats that have become susceptible to invasion than seemed to be the case earlier. But there's always been the attempt to do it. And here and there are probably places where the moat is as strong as ever. But certainly you can work at, certainly should be working at improving your own moat and defending your own moat all the time. And Elon may turn things upside down in some areas